We're going to be jumping right into this next episode on shadow mechanics. On paper, cut to you, and you know what I like to do. I like to show you guys some examples, some dope clips, and as well as obviously trying to show you guys a little bit more about the game at hand. And for those of you who missed it, I did hit him with the grappling hook, and that was confirmed by the sparks in the sound. He also made a mistake that I capitalized on when he got into the mantling animation when he was trying to go through the window. You can tell a lot of things that are happening based on sound and visuals. The spark is what really showed that I did connect with the hook, but the speed is what broke it. The second part is that I ended up pulling him away from the window as he was trying to get in there, and that's one of the influences of the grappling hook when you grapple someone. Now, this is not going to be about just basic mechanics, but those things kind of overlap with what I want to call the shadow mechanics. And these are some of the background processes that's going on based on who you're playing, what weapons are they using, in advantage of just everything that you know. And this is only something I think you can do once you get past the core mechanics. Like, I'm not worried about my timings because now I know them, I know how to control my hook. Right now I'm trying to just throw off the tempo of this fight. Is he reloading? Maybe. Maybe not. Is this guy reloading? He's definitely going to have to after unloading all those bullets. My health is low, I'm going to go ahead and pin him down. And this is kind of the basis of shadow mechanics. These are the things that are going on internally that let you make small decisions like this. Me figuring out that that guy was there based off the crossbones, just the probability of where did he go. Like, all these things happen so fast, and those are probably the hardest things to talk to people about as you're doing these kind of skill videos. I think it's a lot easier to talk about the regular mechanics. You can break those down, make them slower. But I think you have to get into the sense of getting to this level. For the good players, you may have known that that's a spawn trap location. It's very common. The score also says a lot about what's going on in this scenario. I know that I'm going to have to break apart from there because I don't want to be caught in kind of the shit show that's going on with my team. This is an Advocate Network showdown. The people who know their mechanics know that I grab the ledge. You don't have to do that in this game. You can just press back on your controller, jump, and then jump forwards, and that gets you back onto the structure. Now, since I've identified that I know that the players I'm playing against are better, I had to go into a defensive stand there because somebody did see me. They started shooting at me. I'm kind of waiting this out. I am going to play them different than I'm going to play other people. And that's what the basis for this video is. It's learning who are you playing against. When you play games like this, Titanfall, Halo, anything that just has a lobby and you get continuous play against people, you get to learn a lot about them. And it lets you know what things are going to work and what things are not. And the faster you're able to identify these things, the more you can actually apply it into the lobby you're in. Luckily in Titanfall, since the player base is smaller, you're going to get to play the same people more often than not. This is a complex strafe. If you were to slow that down, it brings my momentum one way, and then I use the straight jump in order to stop it and almost go the opposite way. You're going to see the exact same strafe here. Now this is where I messed up. I'm tracking this guy based off of sound right now. I was looking at my radar, I caught the pie piece, but it actually screwed me up more than it helped. If I would have used my eyes, I would have seen this guy. But the only reason I'm alive is because I did the exact same strafe pattern, and it's a very strong one, especially for beginner players. But it's also strong against high-tier players. It is just a good strafe to know. And strafe patterns are really complex because obviously the trickier the better. So what makes it trickier? Well, sometimes just going left to right is not enough. What the weapon that you're going up against is going to make a huge difference. Like a Kraber, I don't do quick left and right because people's most consistent mistake is to undercompensate movement, and then you end up running into the bullet yourself. Some of these clips, I'm like, oh, this is really cool, and I don't exactly know how I'm doing it at the time, but I know that I can make it work. Guys behind me, guys in front of me, I cannot turn back to that guy right now, but I'm not going to make a really simple approach. I use the hook to just give me a little bit of a different up than I would have been able to get with my jump. It also changed the momentum, all these things. I never go out that door. That's a death sentence because everybody knows where you're coming out there. This one, we are down just a few kills. But I've had a particularly bad game, and I'm starting to adjust to how these guys' playstyle is. This guy's killed me, I think, like 3 or 4 times by now. His buddy has also killed me a couple times because typically they're together. Now, there's a couple of things that I want to accomplish. First, I want to get a little bit of momentum and a little bit of head games going on with them. I want to get a few more kills on them. And the fancier I can make the kills, the more it makes them doubt their ability and how they're going to be able to respond to me. So getting any kind of fancy kills, and when I say fancy, I just mean out of the typical. Shooting somebody, it's not the same as using a grenade, grappling them, or throwing a fire star at them. It affects players differently, how they're going to interact with you after they get killed by you in certain ways. The pullback initially on this approach was because I didn't feel comfortable. I heard a lot of jump jets. I wanted more information before actually making the approach, and it paid off really good for me. Alright, look at the time right now. We're about halfway through the match. We're actually around 50 points, and this is where things like this start coming into play. where the players get to really set up with their team. They may notice a trend in your side that they try to exploit, or they're going to do a strategy that now comes into fruition because now they have their auto turrets up. I'm going to go ahead and adjust. I mean, I completely adjust my play because I want to beat these guys. These guys have been camping really hard. I already know what to expect. I'm not even surprised by this AWOL. As soon as he dropped it down, I tried to adjust my throw to a little bit to the left. Then I don't have to get it directly behind him. It just makes getting the grenade throw easier. And you see how I already started making that adjustment on the first grenade, even though I knew I had already cooked it too long for it to like really make it there. The second approach is always better. Even when I know I got the grenade with the first one, I always throw a follow-up one. It's just a habit I've gotten into. The harder the shot, obviously, the more likely that I'm going to do that. Alright. I'm having a tough time breaking through where my team is. I decide to just go completely around, and I had a few examples, but I thought it got boring showing the same thing. I wanted to show at the beginning of the videos how these guys would be choking up, and how I came to the realization that I'm going to have to change my playstyle. And if you really want to crush camping, the best thing to do is get into enemy lines and never let them set up. That's the worst thing that can happen when you're trying to camp, is that you never get a position to solidify with your team. You never get all the players on one side. If you continuously break into spawn points, it breaks up their spawns as well. So the faster your team, the more that you can do that to an opposing team if you have multiple flankers. I think that's actually the best strategies I've seen in Titanfall. Since I've been back, things have really changed for me. I find it that I'm more refreshed. My playstyle seems a lot more fluid. Something about just coming back to the game instead of... I think I got out of my old routines. Instead, I just took my good habits and started to build new ones, it seems. And I've also seen the trend of how games are going now. A lot of people are using sentries. There's a lot of Spitfire, and the Spitfire, when somebody's holding an area, is a little bit challenging for the alternator. You usually have to make up the distance somehow. If you just let them gun you down, if you take a bad path, you know what happens, especially if the other player has decent aim or good aim. You're gonna have to change your approach. By the way, this was terrible read on my part on the spawns. I don't know why. I came from that direction and I completely doubted everything, and ended up wasting a lot of time. That deke right there, I think, totally redeemed all the time I've wasted. That was one of probably the best moments in the game for me when I was doing that. It just felt really good and really responsive. We are starting to pretty much take a dominating league, and that's going to be the end of this. I just want to end up with one more clip before we wrap up. This is one of those scenarios where I recognize something, but I wasn't really sure where to place it. When I make this approach right here, you're going to start hearing this weird jump noise. That is the sound of somebody jumping in the corner and going between two walls. Once I was able to recognize that, then I'm like, okay, this is the scenario that has to play out. But those are the really small moments that actually make a big difference. Being able to identify jump jets and where they are, what is going on. Like, right away I knew that he cannot hit me with an L-star. The bullets are too big. There's no way you're going to be able to do it. I'm completely covered. I have enough time to cook a grenade. I think actually what's more interesting, the reason I ended up bringing up this clip, is because I played these guys multiple times, and then I saw somebody with a Kraber. A couple of them changed to L-stars, and to me that completely changes the flavor of the game. Now we're looking to have a little bit more of a fun match. Like, we're still trying, obviously, but turning down the weapons just kind of... This is more of a social thing, being able to pick up on those cues that's what's going on. People are like, all right, we've been pretty sweaty, let's change it up, let's put away the alternates, put away a couple of the Spitfires, and have ourselves some fun. And I think if you're able to recognize that, it also says something about you. And one of the things I like about Twitch is when people have face cams and they're playing, or even just when you hear them talking and you see them make a play and they're like, ugh. And people that can do that sooner are the people that are able to recognize when there's danger or when something went wrong. If you're somebody that never kind of catches on those moments, it's probably because you're not ahead of the play enough. If you're able to start recognizing where you messed up and where things are going to go wrong, I think that's what really makes your game go to that next level. That is the next level gameplay, when you're like, this is what I did, this is wrong, this is the only way to correct it, or this is the only way where my odds are significantly increased that it gets rid of the mistake. There's a couple of times when that happens. I don't know if I got any clips of that. It's hard trying to cut these moments because on video, because they're so fast that it happens. I'd have to literally get out of the screen and start, and you kind of get into a roll. But there are certain times that really stick out to me when I made decisions that I knew were not going to really go really well. Like this one right here, I knew that this was way too much. Like, I'm just going to try to do some slick stuff. I end up dying, and I'm like, all right, well, what did I expect? Like, there aren't really too many odds of you living there. Alright, here I'm like, I have enough time to cook behind the wall. I'm not too sure what he's going to do, but I am definitely going to be going after him. And when I start making this approach, I feel really good about this. When he goes in there, I'm like, maybe I need to cook another grenade. But when I hear the sound behind me, I decide to actually do the safe thing and don't let anybody get onto my back. And I think the shadow mechanic there for me was how I was going to get under the bridge with my grappling hook as soon as I went for that kill. This is the background noise that's going on within your head. Preemptive grenades is the newest flavor for me. Like, if I see you, there's a good chance I'm going to hit you with a grenade, but I'm actually trying to get beyond that now and start preemptively throwing grenades where guys should be, and I'm throwing quotations. This again is the probabilities of what you think is going to happen. That's what makes you a better player, being able to bring the odds into your favor. I messed this grapple up. I had enough charge in order to swing around, but for some reason I discontinued it or disattached it early. This put me into a defensive stand. I really like this move. I was able to run across the wall and then grab onto the other wall in order to come back up. I knew if I messed up that grapple, over. This is such a basic timing. Most good people are going to know about this timing where you go into a door and then, you know, you pop back in and shoot them. Now, this is where the mind games comes in. If you know that they're a better player, they should already be expecting that. Maybe they're going to throw a fire star at you. Maybe they're going to throw a grenade at you. That's why, if they're better, I would not have done that move the exact same way. I don't think it would have worked out because, again, to me, that's a basic first-person shooter timing. Throwing off tempos is huge in this game. I don't know why I thought this was gonna work, but when it came like through, I'm like, all right. I thought this was pretty awesome. Oh my god. I own that guy for the rest of the game. He's gonna be like, what the fuck? Like, you should not be getting grenades like that off on people. A lot of people have been talking about Titanfall 3. I am going to get on that boat because I have different views. I just find that balance is a little bit different in the way that I see it than other people do, specifically Titan balance. You would be like, what do you know about Titan balance? You barely play Titans these days, and it's true because I don't really like the balance. We'll get into that in another video. This was one of those things, I've talked about this in one of the episodes where I'm like, play to learn versus playing to win, something like that. I end up doing this grappling hook that I've never done before, and I've kind of gone really into the holding of the hook in order to reposition myself. I messed up my approach. I need to take a break. Again, that was a quick decision. I'm like, I wasn't gonna keep doing that like endlessly. Like, eventually, it's going to go like badly for me. Like, how far am I gonna push these advantages? Again, it's based on how I think these players are playing and where their strengths lie. All right, so this is the move right here. I'm like, okay, there's gonna be a guy under here after I hear him. You're gonna hear him shoot in a moment, and I'm gonna try to get myself into the door. Almost, and it felt really cool, and I'm like, I want to try that again. And it's funny because I've never been somebody who like played the gauntlet when it was out, and people were like, oh, how fast can I go? I'm practicing for when the game actually comes out. I just don't care about that. I just do it all in game. That's how I practice. That's what makes it so I can have some fun while I'm doing it. So, you know, if you're somebody that needs a private lobby, cool. I like to always see how things work in like in real application. How is it going to work against actual players? So this is when I found the time to do it again, and I completely messed it up. This guy shot me. Nothing worked. But, you know, next time I'm in this level, I'm definitely going to keep that in mind for just to do, because I think it feels cool and you learn something. And I'm one of those guys that likes to force out certain moves, even if I know it's not the best play, because again, I like that experience. I say this a lot on my channel, that I like that experience. That's why I do certain things, because I want to push the limit, see what works for me, what doesn't. But the only way to know is, it's like, you can't just do it once, because if it doesn't work the first time, it doesn't mean it doesn't work. It means maybe your execution is bad. And being able to notice if it's your execution versus like what you're trying to accomplish is a big deal, because if you're like, my execution was bad, the reasoning was sound, then that influences how you're going to do something the next time. I'm still concerned about that door, by the way. I'm not letting that go. I know something's going on in there. Still, back of my mind. Anyways, that's the end of this video. I was looking back at some of the beginning things that I was saying, and I noticed that at one point I showed, after the complex strafe against the second guy, then I showed the clip where I grappled him at the beginning of the game. Again, that's one of those shadow things again, because I did pull off some moves on him at the beginning that's going to influence how he perceives our engagements. He may be like, this is bullshit, he's getting flustered, things like that. I'm keeping them in the back of my mind because I think that is a big deal in gaming. And that's the end of the episode. If you enjoyed it, make sure to support the channel, liking, commenting. If you didn't notice, we cracked 10K. Thanks for all the love, and I'll see you guys next time.